Lesson 3-9b. This video is going to focus on subtraction. And we want to look at subtraction. And we'll just start with this problem. 400 less 164. Now, subtraction, when we look at it, we have to look at, and we can go back to our old factor trees. When we look at 400, 1 is 164. What is the other addend to get 400? Now, to do that, we can do one of several things. We can guess and check, we can do this, we can hope, or we could just subtract. Now, I'm just going to subtract here. We're going to start with 0 less 4. Now, one of the things I've been seeing, and as we're working through our problems and trying to get things done as quickly as I can, some of us are doing 0 minus 4 is going to equal 4. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not good. That's going to help. That's going to do that on a math test. You're going to end up in math jail. That's not how we subtract. You can't take away, at this point in time, you cannot take away 4 from 0. So what I refer to it as going to our neighbor and borrow some sugar. Well, there's nothing from 0, so we got to go to our next door neighbor. 4 becomes 3. Now we're taking hundreds, and this 0 is going to become, instead of 0 tens, now you have 10 tens, or 100. Now we can borrow from our neighbor that not 10 tens is going to become 9 tens, and we're going to take tens, and this 0 ones becomes 10 because we brought 10 over. Now we can subtract 10 less 4 is 6. 9 less 6 is 3. 3 less 1 is 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we did this correctly, what this answer right here, this solution right here, should fit right here. And then if we wanted to check our problem, which is hopefully a habit we're getting into, I can just go and I can add them together. And I can say 164 plus 236. Now I want you to watch how I write this. 6 plus 4 is 10, and let's just change color right now. Okay, let's just put it to black. 4 plus 6 is 10. 6 plus 3 is 9. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, normally we would not do math in this manner, okay? But I want you to look at something here. If I were to circle this, and let's just circle this in red, 3, 9, 10. What do you guys see any similarities between this right here and this right here? Well, hopefully you see the 3, the 9, the 10. That's what I subtracted here to get this. Okay, that's through regrouping and borrowing. Now, if I were to do this math problem correctly, and let's just do it in red, I've got 10 carry the 1, 9 plus 1 is 10 carry the 1, 400, which is essentially right where we want to be. So that's basically what subtraction is. Now, depending upon who you are and how comfortable you feel with subtraction, we can either do subtraction from left to right, or we can do it from right to left. And a lot of it just depends upon how you feel. Now, the vast majority of us, okay, and I throw us in this. When I say us, I mean me too. We feel more comfortable going from right to left, especially when we have to borrow. But I'm going to show you both ways in case it's something that you feel that you can do. Now, one of the things when you do the practice problems, whether you do left or right to left, if you are doing one way and you keep getting them wrong, try doing them the other way. So let's look at 1,353, and we're going to subtract 769. Now, one of the things when we go from left to right is we have to start noticing our numbers right away. We notice that we're going to have to borrow here. We're going to have to regroup here. We're going to have to regroup. We're going to have to regroup. So what I'm going to do right away, and I'm going to switch colors here, is I'm just going to start switching. This is going to be 13. I'm going to need that to become 12 because I'm going to need 10 here. Then this is going to be 14, and then this becomes 13. Notice I did all of that right away. I just took care of all my borrowing, all of that right from the get-go, and now I'm ready to subtract. 13 less 9 is 4. 14 less 6 is 8. 12 less 7 is 5. 0 less 0 is 0. Now, if I do this problem the other way, where I go from right to left, I'm going to have 1, 3, 5, 3. Now, conceivably, I should have the exact same number, so let's hope I do this correctly. Now, instead of doing all of my regrouping and everything right away, I'm going to do it one at a time. And well, again, we'll switch to blue. I can't do 3 less 9, so this I'm going to borrow 10. This is going to become 4, and this becomes 13 because I brought 10 over. 13 less 9 is 4. Now, 4 less 6 I can't do, so I'm going to go borrow my neighbor. I'm going to take 100, and 300 becomes 200. 40 becomes 140. Now, 14 less 6 is 8. I can't do 2 less 7. This becomes 0. This becomes 12. 12 less 7 is 5. Now, if you notice, ladies and gentlemen, 584, 584. Regardless of how you do it, you should get the same response. The question is, do you have enough foresight to be able to figure out whether or not you have to borrow or not? One of the things I also noticed as we were kind of going through some work and stuff is that some of us borrow just to borrow, and we don't need to. So if, just for example, if you have 271 minus 158, okay? So you subtract, you borrow, this becomes 6, 3. Then some of you, what you're doing is you're borrowing right away, when you can, in actuality, do 6 minus 5. You don't have to borrow that. 6 minus 5 is 1, and then you have 2 less 1 is 1. So remember, one of the things that makes this left to right difficult is sometimes we don't have to borrow. And when we run into problems where we don't have to borrow, some of us are borrowing right away without needing to. And then that's really going to throw our math for a loop. All right, so that's the end of lesson, or not the end of lesson, the end of video 3-9B. 3-9C is going to be practice work. I'm going to give you some problems I want you to work. I want you to pause the video and then see how you did, and then I will give you the response.